Whoops. I screwed it up already. Hey there, everybody. You are watching the Reinvention Show, the one and only place that educates, informs, and inspires you on your journey to reinvention. I am your host, Carol Wayne, and today I am talking to my buddy, Mark Piatelli. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Carol.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome.
Mark Piatelli, founder and CEO of Dreamsong Productions, is a true Renaissance man. He is also the most humble, multi-talented artist I have ever met. His CV is a masterpiece itself. Mark is a highly skilled writer, director, singer-songwriter, actor, playwright, public speaker, and project manager. He was awarded the Distinguished Artist of the Year award by the Long Beach Public Corporation for the Arts. He played the role of Hamlet and Jesus on stage, and he worked with Rip Torn as a guest star on The Larry Sanders Show. He teaches acting to undergrads, and to top it all off, as a singer-songwriter, he creates signature songs which capture the essence of the person, moment, or event. In today's interview, we will hear Mark's reinvention story and will discover the power of his signature songs.
Wow.
That was a mouthful.
Pardon?
That was a mouthful.
It was, and maybe one day we will work on my presentation skills together. So, Mark, tell us your reinvention story.
Well, it started, when I was 10, I sang. Opened my mouth and learned I could sing at an audition for the 8th grade production of Oliver at my Heath School in Brookline, Massachusetts. I had never sung before. I didn't know if I could sing. And I'll never forget Mrs. Phelps, the look in her eyes, and her just sort of like, oh my God, she just kind of she came to attention when I opened my mouth. And I knew in that moment that something was different. Because I grew up in a household with 5 siblings, not a lot of emotional connection to self. It was all about obedience. It was all about doing for the family, doing for the purpose of serving others. And so I never really developed a voice. I never really developed my own speaking voice, I didn't know what emotional articulation was. I didn't know how to articulate even a feeling. I remember a girlfriend in high school saying to me, what do you, tell me what you're feeling? And I remember thinking, huh? What? I don't know. That does not compute. I don't get to talk about my feelings. I don't know what those are. I mean, I felt a lot. I was a highly sensitive child, but I didn't have a voice. I didn't articulate it. I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So the singing was an opportunity for me to get attention. At 10, I got attention through singing other people's songs. But it wasn't until I really started doing my own personal growth work, which is at the age of 30, which is when I wrote my first song, that I discovered that I could articulate my feelings and my experience and write a song about it, that then I could use both my singing voice and my authentic voice, if you will, my heart and soul and perspective through a song. And for me, that was an unbelievable revelation. It opened the heavens for me. It was like, oh, this is my path. This is my journey. This is my essence.
What was the song called?
It was called Little Child, Little Boy. And it was my first song. It's not the greatest song in the world, but it was magnificent at the time because I knew nothing about songwriting. I studied music theory in college, and I always wanted to be a songwriter, but I never gave myself permission to do it until that moment. It just sort of happened. I bought a little keyboard, and I talked to some people about how do you go about even structuring a song? And they're talking about the descending bass, and so I started. My first song is all about the descending bass and creating a song using that musical, and it turned out actually quite lovely in a way. And I actually performed it for the reunion of. It was a weekend workshop. I went to this weekend workshop with an organization called Omega. I had an actor friend of mine. I had just moved to Los Angeles. I had $100 in my pocket. I had maybe like 2 friends in LA. I bought this Datsun B210 mustard-colored little car that I was so embarrassed to be driving, but it got me around town, And this buddy, he's still a friend of mine today. His name is Jeff Marcus, and he teaches acting in LA. But he said, "Go to this workshop. It changed my life." So I went to this workshop. It was my first sort of personal growth experiential workshop. It was free at the time, and which is the only way I could have gone at that time. Mm-hmm. And because this weekend provided a setting for a safe setting for people to articulate their feelings, articulate their experience, and they had life lessons too. It's where I learned that the word try needs to be taken out of one's vocabulary. Because if we try to do something, then we're not really doing it. We're just always gives the possibility of an out. Right. So, but that weekend was instrumental in my writing this song. Because in that workshop, which was so unlike my upbringing, I was able to start speaking from a place of truth and be heard and not be shut down or not be ridiculed or not be shamed. So my family was all about pointing fingers and shut up and who do you think you are and get over your high horse and just not a lot of self-promote, not a lot of support in that way. So little child, little boy, I think it was little child, little boy, maybe, or little boy, little child, but it was.
And then you performed it?
I actually performed it at a sort of a reunion of this weekend retreat. And I'll never forget it because Michael Feinstein, I don't know if you know who he is, he's a musician. He's now the conductor of the Pasadena Pops here in Pasadena. He does he made a name for himself writing standards, playing standards.
Okay.
Piano player, singer. And he got pretty famous, and he was relatively famous at the time. I'll never forget him. We were at a party after this concert where I sang this one song, and he was very encouraging. Because I was like, I just threw that. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not a singer. I'm not really a songwriter. He said, I know. He said, Irving Berlin really wasn't a great piano player, which I'm not. He wasn't really a great musician in a lot of ways, but he knew how to structure a song and write a song and put words to it. And he said, so that's all you need, and that's what you have, and keep going. Wow. So.
Now, what's happened since that first song?
I have been writing music since then. There was a period there where I was just sitting at my keyboard nonstop, but I never took it out to market. I never sort of came out to the world as a songwriter. Always wanted to, always thought I would, but there was something holding me back. I don't know what.
You still don't know what? Or do you know now what?
Well, it's that fear of being seen, fear of rising above the anonymity of it all, for people then to see you, because then there's ridicule, then there's humiliation, then there's the beating down, all of that. So
all that childhood stuff.
All that childhood stuff. Yeah.
Right.
So Um, this is 2013 is the year of the snake, and I have made this year my transition year to shed the old skin and to uh, grow the new skin. And for me, that's about coming out with my music. Um, so I continue to write. I have dozens of songs, but for me, some of the songs are more geared toward like a musical. I have a couple of musical ideas, musical theater, because that's where I come from, the theater. That I've been developing these musicals, which haven't. I've written a number of plays. I'm a playwright, and so it was a sort of a natural progression then to move into writing a musical,
Right.
which I plan on finishing. But the Dreamsong Productions for me is about writing music that is heartfelt, that is essentially about uplifting people. You know, life ain't easy for anybody. And music has a way of changing people when they're listening to it in that moment. The signature song idea came, you know, about 15 years ago. I had a friend and his wife get married, a very good friend. I wrote a song for their wedding. They still play it today at their anniversaries. I was working for an organization called Artists Reaching Kids, and we were having a fundraising party. So I wrote a song for that event where I celebrated everybody in the organization. I don't know where that song is today, but I wrote it and I performed it.
That was before YouTube, right?
Exactly. It was. It was.
Otherwise, you could like have 100 million billion hits already. No.
Possibly, but a lot of my music, I have a drawer full of cassette tapes, just filled with musical ideas. And now that the digital age is here, I have my iPhone. That if I get a musical idea, I'm always just sort of throwing it in there and then playing with it later at the keyboard. Right now, like I'm working on two particular songs right now that I'm finishing up. Uh, but the signature songs for me, or the idea came from you know, writing the song for the wedding of my friends. But recently, my cousin Donna passed away about 2 years ago, and I loved her. She was an amazing spirit. And she lived in Hawaii, but she came to LA for a weekend because her daughter was in the film industry, and there was an award ceremony that her daughter was being, you know, part of. And so she came, my cousin Donna came for the weekend. On Saturday night, she went out to the awards event, celebrated with her family. It was the last time, and they hadn't been together in a long time because her son had been in New York, and he came out for the weekend. On Sunday, she fell into a coma in in LA. So I ended up spending like 2 weeks going back and forth to the hospital and getting to know her husband better, getting to know her daughter better. And in that time, I wrote a song for Donna called Donna's Song. And I knew there was you know, something incredibly meaningful about it for Owen and Shanna, the husband and the daughter. So when I started playing it for them, they just sort of like, it was profound, you know. And they flew me out to Hawaii to sing the song at Donna's celebration service. It was at they played tennis at this tennis club, and they had about 300 people, and we handed out the lyric to everyone. You know, the chorus is Donna, 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 the rarest of kind. Donna, 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 you're divine. So everybody's singing this at the celebration.
Wow. I can imagine the power just from hearing one voice, your voice singing it, and can just imagine what it would be like with many voices.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
they all sort of in the lyric recognize Donna, when they because Owen sent the lyrics out to everybody, all of her friends,
Mhm.
and many of them commented on how when they read the lyric it was Donna that they were reading, so they really appreciated that and also then got to share in the celebration of Donna through the song.
Right.
And after that, my eldest nephew, got married. And so I decided I'm an artist. I always have been an artist. Money hasn't always flowed into my life, which is changing
In the past.
in the past. And I decided to write a song for Chris and his wife, Christine. So I wrote a song, Chris and Christine, and I Skyped it and I played it for them at my keyboard, and they're like, "Oh my God, oh my God!" And so they asked me then to sing it at their reception, which I did, and it was at the Harvard Club in Massachusetts, and the entire room of guests gathered in this sort of pre-reception room where there was a piano, a bar, everybody mingling, hanging out, and then all of a sudden everybody focused on the piano. Chris and Christine are behind me. I start singing the song, them right there, everybody watching, and it was so cool. And she said to my sister-in-law the next day, she said, my favorite moment of my whole wedding was Mark singing the song to me and Chris in front of our friends.
Wow.
That's a bride saying the most, that's a big deal.
I mean, it's huge, yeah, because this is a very important day for her,
Very
and
important.
it will forever stick in her memory.
Sticking in memory, yes.
Yeah.
So that's what gave me the inspiration or the idea that signature songs for people can be incredibly powerful. As think of a portrait. If you had a portrait done for yourself,
Hmm.
an artist rendering of you that you hang in your living room, or of your husband or of your children, and you hang it in your living room, that's a visual representation. But a signature song can be something that is musically equivalent in that it captures the essence of the person or the event, the wedding, or whatever the event is. Um, yeah.
Let's talk about some of the other kinds of events that you would create a signature song for.
The birth of a child, a concert, the coming of age song
Oh,
for,
yes, I know what
or,
you're trying
huh?
to say. I know what you're trying to say, and it's in Spanish.
The Spanish, yeah, the special day of,
Quinceaños?
ki- ki- ki-
Oh, I don't want to say it wrong in case I say the
yeah,
wrong word.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that one,
Yeah, that one.
that one.
And
Also for people who are wanting to brand themselves in a way, for instance, a public speaker or an inspirational speaker. Imagine there's a song written about you, for you, about your mission, about your purpose, about who you are, that rocks it, that is played right before you go on stage. Everybody get up and clap your hands and stamp your feet. If you have a dream, everybody get up and clap your hands and shout out, I have a dream, I have a dream. That's a song that I've been working on for someone as a sort of signature song.
right.
It was all about making dreams come true for people. So imagine that you have this song that is your song. Instead of playing the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, or you get a rockin' song that's all about you, it brands you, and it captures you, and it inspires people.
Right. Oh, I can imagine it, Mark. I can most definitely imagine it.
So that's another way that the signature song can be really utilized as well. Something else that I'm developing is I believe, there was a book written called Drawing from the Left Side of the Brain, or something like that, where I don't remember the name of the author, but she believed that drawing was a God-given ability that we all have. It's just a question of we all need to train our brains to think that way. We need to bypass the rational mind and get into the creative mind. And I believe that everybody is innately creative and has the ability to sing and create their own song. So if you didn't want a Dreamsong Productions coach, let's say, writing your song for you, but you wanted to write your own song that celebrated you, then I'm developing the song system approach, which is a 2-day workshop in which people will come and go through a series of exercises in which I break it down. We break it down. And we create, first through a series of questions. We discover what you're about. We discover what's important to you. We discover what your values are. We discover what your purpose and mission is. We discover what you're on this planet for, what you're here to do, how you're making a difference.
Wow. And so, has this started yet, or is this?
I'm developing it. Yeah, I need to do some trial runs first because there's a lot of technical aspects of it. Get how many, the right amount of people in the workshop so that everybody leaves with a recorded something of them singing their song with some kind of accompaniment.
Wow. You wouldn't want to hear me sing my song.
In that case, perhaps someone else could sing it for you, but you could create your own song.
Right, right. No, I think that would be awesome, and what a fantastic way to celebrate a reinvention. Ooh, how's that for a segue?
Unbelievable.
I just thought of that right now.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time, so let's talk about what you've learned along the way on your reinvention. What were the most important elements?
The most important elements for me has been to commit. I am a Renaissance man, as you said in the beginning. I have so many ideas, so many things that I want to do, so many projects, so many things that I juggle, that the commitment to one thing has been key for me. And focusing in only on the Dreamsong Productions and the signature songs for me was instrumental in reinvention. All the other things, my book, my keynote, my teaching, everything else will fall under that, or will support that, or will branch out of that. The other thing is then to listen to my heart and soul, to always be checking in. And for me, it's a sort of daily journaling practice, staying close to spirit, staying connected. I have one of my signature songs is called Spirit Man.
Okay.
That's about when I, just be with me, that it's always about being connected spiritually to the larger universal energies that are out there, whatever you believe in terms of a higher power, right. Electricity, sixth sense, intuition, whatever it is. But listen to that, trust that, and be daring enough to stand up and speak that, even though people around you are going, "What, are you crazy?" Right. Be in action every day. For me, that can be challenging. I've had diagnoses of ADHD up the yin-yang, PTSD up the yin-yang, depression up the yin-yang. And at a certain point, I decided I'm not going to be labeled by these things, and I'm not going to be defined by these, whatever they are.
Right.
It's not who I am. So being in action every day for me is definitely a key component to my success. Also support, getting support from people. I can't do this alone. None of us can do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a concept called the highly collaborative, high performance, high collaborative team, if you will. The idea is that 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 or 5 when 2 or more people come together with a common vision and a common goal and common purpose. So much more can be accomplished. So finding people who support you, who believe in your dream, who believe in what you're about, get the naysayers out of your life. Even if it's your husband or wife or parent, get them, either set the boundaries or get them out of your life if you can. Because that's their stuff. It's not yours.
The transcriptionist is going to have fun with that word.
And the final really important element is celebrating the wins. I've been doing a lot of research on the adaptive unconscious, this idea that 90% of our brain is actually beneath our rational conscious mind, which is the unconscious, and that's what's driving our behavior. And that the more we practice working with the unconscious, the more we can change old habits and beliefs and things. And one of the ways to do that is by celebrating the wins. That is, you ask the question, what's working?
Mm-hmm.
What's working? What's happening that's positive right now? What am I doing right now that is working? And that sets in motion, your brain starts to generate these positive ideas, and that creates more energy for you then to build on, as opposed to what's not working.
Right.
And it's always going to be something not working, but why dwell on that? Focus on what is working and build on that.
Right.
And I mean, this is not rocket science. It's something that has been tested and proven.
It's part of my process.
Well, there you go.
So it's good that we agree.
Yeah. So those are my recommendations for, having a successful reinvention.
Well, they're really, really good recommendations there, Mark, and you have come such a long way, buddy. And one day, I know this star up here is just something that I bought on Fiverr.
All right.
But I know one day you're going to have your very own star, just like that, but for real. Wow. For real, buddy, for real.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Carol. It's been a great honor, pleasure. You are amazing, and I can't wait to watch. I am watching you grow and blossom, and it's exciting, and I see great things ahead for you as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there you have it, another fantastic episode of The Reinvention Show. And also be sure to go over to thereinventionshow.com and sign up to receive advance notifications of the next episode. Until next time, bye.
If you'd like Carol to help you with your reinvention, reach out to her by going to her website and completing the Contact Us form, or send her an email at carol@carolwayne.com. She's also available on Skype at IDICarol and on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, all Carol Wayne. Hey there, the 30-day challenge and the 90-day fast track programs are coming soon. Please go to carolwayne.com for details.
Whoops. I screwed it up already.